about a piece that is rarely played in concert. This is an overture by Beethoven, which is called The Consecration of the House. It's a piece that was written by Beethoven really at the end of his life. He had just finished working on, or I think he just finished composing his great Missa Solemnis, which is his great mass for large choir, for large orchestra, for soloists. He was working on his Ninth Symphony, and in the year 1822 he got a commission from a very new theater. It's called the Theater in Josefstadt in Vienna, to write a piece for the opening ceremonies of that theater. And he started working on it, and he got to a point where I guess he was experiencing writer's block. And there's a little bit of a story that his friend Anton Schindler wrote in his biography on Beethoven. Apparently one day in the autumn, Beethoven decided to go out for a walk. He took his nephew Karl and Schindler with him, and then at a certain point he told them both to just go ahead, and because he wanted to think. And I guess a little bit later, maybe a half an hour later, he ran up to them and said, "I've got two ideas, two themes. One of them is like this, and I was thinking of writing a fugue, and it's going to be a fairly loose situation, and the other one goes like this, and this is going to be a fugue I'm thinking of in the style of Handel." Now let's remember that Beethoven was really immersed in this third final stage of his compositional life with writing fugues. He was studying the music of Handel every day and Bach, and I think he toyed with the idea of writing a fugue using the letters of Bach. In other words, B, A, C, H, B flat, A, C, B natural, but then he decided against that. And so he tried to hum these two tunes, and he wanted them to pick which one, and the nephew said, "I like them both." Anyhow, the piece itself is, in a way, like so much of Beethoven's music that we think of as being Beethoven. And in other ways, it's completely different. It begins with huge crashing chords in the key of C major. It's so positive. And it establishes everything that here we are. We're opening the theater. And then there's a slow processional march played quietly by the winds, accompanied by the strings, but then gaining in strength with the addition of instruments until it gets to its conclusion, and then everything is interrupted. Beethoven turns everything upside down, and two trumpets and drums come in with this fast and furious march, a fast march, fanfare. And then it all seems to subside until we get to this beautiful section that sounds just like a hymn played by the string instruments. And as it dies down and dies away, then all of a sudden the orchestra seems to wake up very gradually, just by a few notes. Here in the strings, there in the winds, the strings, the winds, the strings, the winds, and then this little three-note motif picks up strength, picks up speed, and before we know it, here we have that fugue theme in the style of Handel. It's Beethoven at his most rambunctious. He seems like he's out of control, but in fact he's completely in control. It is full of surprises, full of turns, all kinds of things happen. It's just this huge message of positivity. The first performance, Beethoven, well, he saw it as a success. However, Schindler writes a little bit about the way it went that day, because there was only one rehearsal, and he writes this: "The newly organized orchestra of the Josefstadt Theater did not receive the music until the afternoon before the opening. and with innumerable mistakes in every part. The rehearsal, which took place in the presence of an almost filled parterre, scarcely sufficed for the correction of the worst of the copyist's errors. So we can imagine it must have been, well, let's not say. But Beethoven himself conducted the overture from the piano. He actually kept his ear towards the orchestra and trying to feel the vibrations because he was almost completely deaf at this time. 18 months later, he repeated this overture in a performance. It happened in 1824. It was the first performance of his Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. This piece, because of its nature, because it's just so positive, because it's so strong, I love the message behind this. And this is the way Orchestra Toronto has chosen to open its season at our first concert, which we're recording on December the 6th. This is the first time that the orchestra will have gotten together to perform, albeit without a public there. But this piece and the performance will be dedicated to all musicians everywhere who have been silenced by the COVID-19 pandemic. We hope that we can all be in contact with our audiences very soon. And we hope that you enjoy, actually love, this message of positivity from Beethoven. Thanks for joining me.